Hello. Well, it's been widely reported that the government is considering scrapping free prescriptions for the over 60s. Are they really so out of touch with public feeling and reality to risk doing that? Welcome to Grey Matters. Hello and welcome to Grey Matters, the channel that promotes the fact that the older generation still matters and which looks at issues that matter to the older generation. Well, we've been saying it, you've been saying it in the comments, and now it looks like the government is seriously considering scrapping free prescriptions for the over 60s. And as we'll see shortly, that's provoked Jeremy Kyle. If you drill down into this, you'll find that the motive behind this proposal is to align free prescriptions with the eligibility for state pension. Now, once upon a time, in the dim distant past, it was 60 years old. So under these plans, free scripts would only be available to people aged 67 and above. Now, the government's timetable for that is that the state pension of 67, the state pension age of 67, should rise to 68 between 2037 and 2039 or sooner. Now, according to gov.uk, the state pension age is regularly reviewed to make sure that the pension is affordable and fair. Now, people are living longer, they're spending a larger proportion of their adult life in retirement than in the past, they say, to which I say, so what? They've worked hard all their lives, they paid their stamps, they deserve a good pension, and if they fall ill, they deserve to be looked after. However, the gov.uk site states that when the state pension was introduced in 1948, a 65-year-old could expect to spend 13 and a half years in receipt of the pension. That's around 23% of their adult life. And that means that, I'm guessing, that people died around the age of 78. Now, this has been increasing ever since, and in 2017, a 65-year-old could expect to live for another 22.8 years, or 33.5% of their adult life. Again, my response to that is, so what? What do you want to do? Implement some sort of Logan's Run termination of life at 55. We're living longer because our homes are warmer. Yeah, well, not everyone's, are they, eh, Rachel? We're living longer because of advances in medicine, and they mean that many medical conditions that might have killed us in the past, such as flu and pneumonia, are less likely to these days. We're living longer because modern medicine has eradicated many killer diseases, and we're also generally wiser about our diets and what we should be avoiding. But just because we're living longer doesn't necessarily make us any healthier. Now, that might sound a bit like a contradiction, but bear with me in this. What I mean is that despite an increased longevity, our health isn't necessarily perfect. There are many people who are still retiring early due to ill health, and if you're one of them, at virtually £10 a prescription, you could be faced with £20, £30 or £40 a month more in monthly medicine costs at a time when you don't even qualify for a state pension. Now, okay, of course, I do understand that this already happens to people under 60 who are forced into medical retirement, but raising the qualifying age will hugely increase that burden for thousands more people. I have a state pension and a company pension, but I would struggle to find an extra £40 a month for my meds. And if this policy comes about, the result is that many people will either have to go without their meds, which will put an intolerable strain on the NHS as they fall ill, or they have to make sacrifices in other areas that will lower their quality of life and living standards. And that's just not right. Some pensioners are already having to choose between heating and eating, and now they might have to choose between heating, eating and medication. I wonder if the government has actually done a risk assessment to forecast how many more pensioners might die because of those choices. Well, we know the answer to that, don't we? They haven't done. They never seem to do impact assessments, do they? Some meds will remain free. Take cancer meds, for example. Now, bearing in mind that half the population is predicted to suffer this dreadful disease, half, which I find incredible and unbelievable, with so many being treated, I wonder how long before the government cancels that too on the basis of cost. And who knows what depths this current government will sink to. Starmer would have to be insane to allow this proposal to cancel free prescriptions to gain traction. After the depravity of the removal of the winter fuel payment, the government would not recover from doing this as well, I'm sure. The backlash would be huge. Now, as you'd expect, the media was quick to pick up on this new threat to older people. On GB News, Paul Hawkins commented at the proposal.
The government said last August that it is opening a consultation on changing the rules. So if you are, so essentially raising that age limit. So instead of getting free prescriptions when you're 60, you'd have to wait until you're 66. Now the government says the reason it gave was that because of the rise in state pension to 66, it's created what they are calling a disconnect with age-based prescription exemptions. Now their preference is to phase in these changes over a number of years. And they're also making the point that a lot of people in their 60s are now working, so they can pay for their prescriptions. Now, it would cost the government, or rather, it would save the government £300 million a year by 2027. That's according to figures from the Department for Health and Social Care. I did the maths roughly on that, £300 million. It's about just under 0.2% of the NHS budget for England. And as you say, the optics of it, coming at a time with rising taxes, rising national insurance contributions, rising inflation, the cost of energy bills soaring. So a very, very small amount of money, but coming at a very bad time. Doesn't look great for the government. They say they haven't made a decision yet, but analysts reckon it could happen as soon as the 1st of April. That's when prescription charge increases happen. They actually have to tweak the law. There are NHS regulations that they have to tweak around about February, March time every year so that they can then put up the cost of prescriptions. So a lot of analysts are forecasting that they'll do that this April. At the same time as increasing prescription charges in line with inflation, they'll also change the age at which you qualify for free prescriptions. But yeah, that remains to be seen whether they're going to do that or not yet. The government said they're thinking about it at the moment.
Consultation process? Who did they consult? Not me, not you, and no one of pensionable age, I suspect. And according to Paul, there are analysts out there who believe this could happen as early as April. My God. Just think about that. 4 months away. Less than 4 months away. And you could suddenly find you're not getting the meds that you expected to get, or they've been whipped away from you, and you're going to have to start forking out for it. It won't affect me because I'm in my 70s. But I really feel for those it will affect. Now, Jeremy Kyle got quite cross about this. Here's what he had to say about it on Talk TV.
Both of my parents are no longer on this earth, right? They both worked all their lives, paid their taxes, chose to send their 2 boys to private school. They lived comfortably, but they didn't have lots of money, contrary to what people might choose to think about, older people. But I've always believed that we should look after the people who have paid their stamp for 50 years, the people who have given something to this country. I find, the winter fuel thing for me will go down as Keir Starmer's poll tax. I don't care what anybody tells me. If your own people are telling you you'll lose 4,000 people to death, and that is a known fact, you are playing with fire electorally. I don't care what any person tells me. But today we find out that this government, this appalling government, has opened the door to scrapping free prescriptions to the over 60s. And I was trying you're erudite, you're an MP, I'm not, I'm a broadcaster. I was sat here before thinking, how do you describe that? So the only way I can put this in layman's terms to you is, Labour, this government seriously is saying from a health point of view, if we don't freeze you to death, we're going to make it so difficult for you to afford the medicine you need to get better that you're going to end up going back to hospital, which is going to screw the very NHS that apparently Keir Starmer and West Streeting are trying to save money on. It is completely and utterly ludicrous.
Yeah. Well said, Jezza. Jeremy Vine also raised this issue with ex-Labour MP and now a Labour peer, Harriet Harman. And this is what she had to say about it.
So, and here I wonder if Labour are a bit shell-shocked, actually, Harriet. And they're going to be thinking, oh, we can't do that as well.
I think they're probably, you know, really reeling from the black hole that they've got to fill, but I don't think that this is likely to be one of the measures they'll be taking because of the sensitivity there's been about means testing the winter fuel allowance. I mean, as you said, the prescriptions are free for people over retirement age, or what retirement age used to be, because the idea was that as you get older you need more prescriptions, and because you're in retirement you're not earning and so you can't pay for them. So that was the
It's expensive,
the
it's nearly
basis.
a tenner, isn't it?
Yeah, it's hovering underneath that magic £10. And if people have to have quite a few prescriptions, then that can really mount up to be a lot more. So I think they're unlikely to do that move, but it has come out of step with you know, the rest of the age limits, as people are working longer and they've got more healthy. But people are not to read that as a sort of signal that it's going to happen, because I think it's most unlikely.
I never thought I'd say this, but I do tend to agree with her. The government would be insane to try and push this through. Now, if you are on a number of medications, there is a step you can take to soften the blow if this ever came into force, and that would be to purchase a prescription prepayment certificate. Now, it costs £32 for 3 months or £114 for a year. So if, for example, you take 4 meds a month at nearly £10 a prescription, you'd be paying around £480 a year. But with the prepayment certificate, you'll save around £366. Now that's got to be a serious consideration, hasn't it? Big savings there. So I wonder what's next in store from this government. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. You know that we read everyone, and if you haven't subscribed, then if you do and hit the bell, you'll be notified when our programs drop. I hope you all had a fantastic Christmas. I wish you all a very happy, prosperous, and in the light of the free prescriptions, a very healthy 2025. So until the next time, thank you for joining us, and it's bye for now.